All right. Hello, Isabella. Nice to meet you.
Hi, you too. How are you doing?
I'm good. Where am I catching you at?
I'm currently in Philadelphia on the East Coast.
Okay, I'm in DC, so I'm on the East Coast too.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So, how's the weather for you today?
Today, I actually haven't been outside, but I mean, I can feel it's probably a little like hot, like
Yeah,
sticky.
it's been a little humid up here. I bet they have you back to back today, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice. Well, I will start by saying I definitely binged season two. I was awesome. You were great in it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'd love to kind of just jump right in and kind of talk about some of the themes that I pulled out. A major one being family. And I'm curious now, when you're on, season two, I'm assuming that you and the cast have developed kind of this family bond.
Yes, 100%. I mean, it started from season one. We kind of like instantly clicked, I think. And that like rarely happens. You never know when you're gonna have like a, pretty good cast or a cast that, you're just not too family like with. But this we're definitely a family and I love them all like so much. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious, how has it been with your family? I'm assuming there's been some quarantine time. Are you still living with them or?
Oh yeah, there was definitely a lot of quarantine time, especially before we filmed season two, and I had to go back to LA. But yeah, I definitely I feel like I know every inch of my family now.
And how many of there are y'all?
I have my mom and my sister living here in PA, so yeah, they're great.
Okay. Nice. And how far apart are you and your sister? Very close or?
Actually, I have seven sisters and one brother. That's a
Oh,
fun fact. But I was raised with my two older sisters from my mom's side, and they're amazing. They're 10 years older than me, so I'm the baby out of all of my siblings.
wow.
But they're great.
Yeah, so I bet you that you had some buffer between the learning curve and how they were raised and how you were raised.
Oh yes, 100%. I mean, they're always bringing it up to my mom. They're like, "Wow, mom, how is she like she was allowed to do that, but I'm not," like things like that. Because I mean, 10 years later, my mom has completely different values than what she did when there. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and speaking about mother's values, this series has a lot of that. I'm curious, are you watching this with your family? Like, what is the conversation like reading the script?
hmm yeah, I definitely, I mean, my mom, my family, they don't really like to know anything until the show comes out because they like to like, we all sit together as a family and we watch it. And they get really excited. So it's always like a really special moment because it's like, like I did it kind of.
Yeah. Well, and I know that, we are Latinas create, and, one of the things is thinking about Latina culture, right? So a lot of it is the mother kind of back and forth with how she feels with it, going to church. Is your family religious, or how is that incorporated into like how what you bring to this role and kind of traditional values?
Yeah, my family was definitely, I mean, is definitely religious. But my mom is super accepting of me, of what I want to do with my life, and she loves all of it. So I'm just really grateful that I have a family that's just so supportive of me and what I do.
Yeah, well, and I can imagine at any level, I'm 34, but when I was, even growing up, these conversations, these stories were not on television. They were not happening. So
Yeah.
I bet you, I mean, this is so historical. I'm sure it's going to be, the first season was amazing, but the second season has completely new narrative. So I think it's really important for the community. I'm curious, when you're seeking out a role, what do you look for?
When I'm seeking out a role, I look for, I mean, basically something like this, something that's going to inspire or just like, be that thing for somebody out there watching that they can relate to and, feel, I guess, just not alone when they watch. And I feel like with this show, it just covers so many topics that no matter who's watching it, whether you are part of the LGBTQ plus community or just a Latinx member, or just a regular person in general, they're going to find something that they can relate to within the show. And I think that's what's most important.
Yeah, definitely. And tell me, have you learned any, you've had some amazing Latina co-stars. Have you gotten any lessons along the way that you could share with us?
Oh my gosh. I think just to, be your own girl boss. That's Ana Ortiz, she's beautiful. She's always teaching me like, different advice and helping me and stuff. And also I worked on Orange is the New Black, Elizabeth Rodriguez. She's beautiful. They're just both really empowering women. And I'm just really glad that I got to work with them.
Yeah. And growing up, who were some Latina leaders that you looked up to?
I think J-Lo for sure. Like that's like the main like wow, like I need to be on her level. She was just super inspiring. She grew up in New York, and she started off as a dancer like me. And then she got her big break, and she's just kind of been building an empire from there. And I think that's just really inspiring.
Yeah, definitely. She definitely keeps going.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, I'm sure you've gotten to meet some amazing people. Have you gotten to meet any of your people that you look up to?
Unfortunately, I mean, like Ana Ortiz, of course, James Martinez, Elizabeth Rodriguez, obviously them. But I mean, like I'd like, like J-Lo, I would love to meet one day. Hopefully that happens soon.
Yeah, well, and I think I heard you started out in dancing, correct?
Yes, I
So
did.
what kind of dancing were you into?
I started off, I mean, I did everything really, but I think my favorite was probably like tap, salsa, and hip hop. But I was kind of trained in everything, starting off with like ballet to ballroom and stuff.
Yeah. And are you looking for any roles that incorporate dancing or singing?
Oh, I would love to do a role that involved me singing or dancing. I think that would be so much fun. And that's definitely a goal that I have.
Yeah. You think will you stick to like Hulu style? You looking maybe Broadway?
Broadway, I always thought about doing Broadway, but it's actually funny. I kind of have like stage fright, kind of. Which like doesn't make any sense because when you're on a set, you're surrounded by, hundreds of people. But I think it's just different. I don't know. My mind just can't process it. But I mean, hopefully one day, like I could do a Broadway show. I think that would be really fun, but I guess we'll
Yeah.
see.
Well, and I'm curious. So, were y'all filming during quarantine? Is that correct?
Yes. We
So,
were.
how was that process? Tell me a little bit about that.
The process of filming during a pandemic was obviously very, very different, something that, none of us like have experienced before. And so I think we just all took it day by day of like trying to navigate how to deal with it because, we had to wear masks and face shields to protect ourselves, like when we weren't filming. So like the second we said cut, we had to go back to like these little like we called it just like bubbles because they created like these like glass, I don't know, frames for us to get into so that we could just like social distance while we were on break, which sounds insane, but you have to do what you have to do to, stay protected. And we had to, COVID test 3 to 4 days a week. And it was definitely very, very different. The connection with like cast and crew wasn't as like strong as it probably was in season one, but because we have already like created that family dynamic, it was pretty easy to just kind of persevere and keep going with the season.
Yeah, and I saw somewhere that you were excited to be able to film at Paramount. And I'm curious, can you tell our viewers like what about Paramount is exciting?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like it's just the energy when you go into Paramount. It gives you that like the 50s like movie film cinema vibe. And I think it's just my favorite place to film. This year we filmed at Fox Studios, which is also extremely nice. But it is a lot more modern, I feel like, than what Paramount is. And yeah, I mean, I love both places, but Paramount does have a special place in my heart.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so fun for our community to get to learn more about a day in the life of an actress. So before COVID times, can you tell me, so you were in school, correct? And you graduated in the summer?
Yes, I graduated in the summer. So for season one, halfway through, I was in school. It was very different. I had to, be on set, but I also had to bank a certain amount of hours, obviously, because school is important. And so you go from like, going from doing a scene to cutting. And the second you cut, you have to run back to your trailer or run back to wherever the teacher is and go and you learn your stuff. And it was definitely a different experience for me because, I'd never done that before. And so It's different, but it's exciting, and it's just like, whoa, like I'm actually living this lifestyle. It's very different.
Yeah, well, congrats, because I heard you graduated early too, right?
Thank you. I did graduate a year early.
I mean, that's super commendable, being your age, being a Latina in Hollywood, getting it done. So do
Yeah.
you plan on sticking, now you're in the acting world, or do you gonna have any more education?
Yeah, I mean that's a question I kind of ask myself every day. I think education is extremely important. Um, but I think I'm taking it just like day by day. I think college would be something that I'm definitely interested in, maybe in the future if I would like to go back to it. But for right now, I'm focused on my acting career, and I think that's a good place to be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know that we love seeing you on screen. By we, I mean myself. But is there any exciting anything coming up that you can tease for us?
At the moment, with COVID and all, we're kind of just taking things day by day, but you never know. You may see me in something really soon.
Yeah, and I'm curious. So you've been in this genre for a little bit, but or the past two seasons. But do you see yourself in any other kind of genre, like horror, comedy?
Yeah. I've always wanted to do an action movie. So I think anything like in that realm would be super, super fun. Or like you said, something that involved me doing like musicals. So hopefully one day.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll end on this. Do you have any advice for people that want to follow in your footsteps?
Yes, definitely. I mean, don't give up, seriously. And also don't listen to what other people say, because I can't tell you how many people, doubted that I could get to where I am today. I still have stepping stones that I have to get through, but, don't give up ever, because again, I never expected to be where I am, at least now in this moment of time. But as long as you believe in yourself, you got this.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And it was amazing talking to you. I can't wait for everyone to see
Yeah.
this.
Thank you. Nice talking to you as well.
Or I'll stay tuned for you. Have a good afternoon.
You too.